Hello, hello, beautiful beings. Today we have Ritchie from Longman Tarot here. Good morning, Rich. Well, it's afternoon where you
It's
live.
afternoon, yeah. Hello. Thank you for having me here, Debbie.
It's very nice to have you here because I have been wanting to meet you for a long time. Your shows are very gentle and positive, upbeat, and I have enjoyed them very much.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say, and I hope that's what comes across because that's what I intend it to be.
It's lovely to have you here. Now, I know it takes a few seconds for YouTube to catch up to us.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Thayer. Thayer is here. Jenny Strauch is here. I believe Sherry H. may not be here. She's work lurking.
Work lurking, yep.
Yes. And Thayer has been a guest on my show, and
hello there.
She's a lovely person. She's very giving. She's very gifted. She does color readings.
Oh.
And she also is a medium. So
wow.
She doesn't have a channel of her own, but I think in the near future when things work out for her, she will. Nancy Riker is here. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
So we were just talking backstage about our journeys in a spiritual sense. Yeah. And is there anything that you would like to share that you're comfortable sharing with us about how your journey has unfolded? Good morning, Manasa.
Hello, Manasa. It's been a really long journey. That's how it feels, and one that I'm excited to still be on. I don't want to go right back into the depths of time, but I was brought up in quite a not necessarily strict family, but my family were Church of England, and so we only ever went to church on high days and holidays, which I absolutely hated. I have to be honest, but I wasn't brought up in a strict religious kind of sense there with it, and so that's always given me the opportunity to question and find out about stuff. And from a very early age, I think it was about 13 or 14, I picked up a book about tarot and went and got myself a set of tarot cards. And that's when I started to get interested in the tarot. And I've always been interested in the supernatural and ghosts and all that part of it as well. And it's just developed. And as I think I said to you just before we went on live, it's at times in your life that get punctuated by special events, whether that's good or bad, that kind of make you almost start a new journey or take another path through this. So my spiritual path has grown and grown and grown, particularly in the last few years since I started or came back into tarot and started the Longman Tarot YouTube and Facebook and other social media stuff. So it's taken off, and I've been so excited to meet so many lovely people along the way who have helped and made me think of things and made me question a lot of stuff. So that's it in a nutshell.
You mentioned that you came back into tarot. Did you put it away for a while?
Yeah, I did. And I can't remember what triggered it. I think what happened, I remember when I was at university as a student in my early 20s, reading the tarot, and I'd be reading tarot cards for fellow students. And, I'd earn a bit of beer money, by doing a few readings for people. And then when I came back and sort of got into work and sort of coming out of the university and education cycle, it kind of stopped, and my work patterns meant I was working in the theatre, so I was working quite a lot of weekends and evenings. I kind of lost track with my friends because I was working when they were out socializing, and it just kind of dwindled out. There were times when I'd pick it back up again, and then it just faded out altogether until about 5 or 6 years ago when I suddenly came across YouTube, TarotTube, and I went, oh, that reminds me of my past. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then I realized how much everything's moved on since when I first started tarot. And I just got into it that way and fell in love with it again.
I put it down for 38 years.
Wow.
So it was always there, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was suppressed. I'll just say that it was suppressed.
I would say it was probably 10 years, at least 10 years. I didn't do much. But when it came back in absolute earnest, exploded like a firework again. And
yeah,
the deck collecting started. And I've done much more tarot than I've ever done before. So I love it. Absolutely love it.
Do you ever work with oracles?
I do. I decided I was going to stop buying tarot decks, and then I started buying oracle decks. I've probably got about 15 oracle decks. I tend to use them as a one card pull for either a card of the day or sort of a focus for the day. Or I will add it into a tarot reading to give a nuance or a theme or an overarching energy to it all. But I don't ever sit there and do readings with just oracle cards in different positions. But I do love an oracle card. And I found that recently when I needed them, and I put away my tarot for a little while because I didn't want to, I was having health issues and I didn't want to pick up a tarot card. That's when the oracle card came in really useful, and I started using those because they had a gentler energy.
They do. A tarot card will jump up and smack you in your face.
And that's for a Lenormand card. They'll give you a double smack around the face.
Kelly, today is her birthday.
Oh.
And she's doing laundry and cleaning. Shame on you, Kelly. But happy birthday.
Hope you have a wonderful day.
I have never touched a tarot card until about 6 months ago. I mean, not a tarot card, but an oracle card until about 6 months ago, and never worked with them. And now I have incorporated them into my readings. And the most I ever pull out for a reading is 3 usually, unless the message is completely unclear, and then I'll go back to the tarot deck or my pendulum or something. But I didn't realize that you could get the kind of messages that you get from oracles. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
Anybody else snuck in here?
It's interesting. What made you come to doing tarot then, if I can ask?
When I was a very young person, like preteen, I taught myself to read regular playing cards. And then I found a deck of tarot in like a joke shop when I was a young teenager. And I started doing readings like for my family, for my mom. And then I had hi, Mary Ellen Jenkinson is here. My readings started to be for my mom. They started to be what some people call tickets to the park. I started to have readings showing that she was going to end her journey on this plane, and I didn't want to accept it. No, that was not going to happen. And so I kept telling her it was transformation, and maybe she was going to start a new career or something.
Yeah.
And of course, that's not what it was. So I decided I didn't want to know. I mean, I had known other things, through my life, with or without cards. I knew things, and I just decided I didn't want to know. So I put them away. And eventually, and they started to call to me, Ritchie.
Yeah.
I heard them calling me.
Really?
And so I did not want to hear it. So I gave those cards away.
Oh,
And so I ignored it for a really long time, but I'm back now and I have a completely different relationship with the end of life process now than
good.
I did as a young person when my mother became ill when I was only 22.
Yeah.
And she was only 41. She was 41 when she passed. So it was I just wasn't ready. I was not ready. And
Right.
so I got back on my path and here I am.
Yeah. It's interesting having that gap. I don't know if you found this though. When I first started learning the tarot when I was a teenager, and it was from a book and reading it under the covers at night because I didn't want my parents to find out and I was the devil or something like that. And I learned all the meanings, the traditional meanings verbatim. I learned them all, and that was basically how I read cards. Is I would just churn out the meanings without any sort of intuitive thoughts at all. It was only sort of a little bit later that I kind of realized that if you ignore the meanings and go it works so much better. So when I took my break and I came back to it, I kind of semi-remembered half of the traditional meanings, but I went in on a purely intuitive level, and that was just, you know, opening my eyes up again to it all, sort of having a second attempt at it. But I still like having the traditional meanings as a kind of safety net to fall into if you need it. I just like having that sort of comfort cushion there to it.
I feel like too that because I once knew all of that, even though after 38 years I forgot a lot of it, and now I can't really retain things reading like I did before. I feel like it's still there.
Yeah.
Even though I read more intuitively now, I read more literally as a young person. I read much more intuitively now.
Me too. It works much better as well.
So thank you, Nancy. Nancy was commenting that it's hard to lose our moms at any age. And that's absolutely true. It is hard to lose our moms at any age. It's hard to lose our dads too. By the time I lost my dad, I had a completely different outlook on the way things are. And it was hard. It was still hard, but it wasn't as devastating as the loss of my mother had been.
Yeah. Yeah. It's whatever preparation you put in, it's never as you expect. And it's
not. And I have had some jobs in death. I've had jobs in the death industry, and it kind of demystifies it a little bit. It helps to put your energy toward comforting people that are grieving. So it's I've kind of gone the full circle with that.
Interesting. It's something I would love to work with. I don't think I could. I'm very interested in that part of, if a career if I wasn't a teacher, but there's bits of it I'm still very much. Ooh.
Yes. And I didn't ever work directly with the bodies. I worked more with the grieving family.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thank you, Viviani, for putting Ritchie's.
Thank you. That's kind.
I'm trying to catch. It's hard to catch comments. Sometimes they go by fast.
Yes, they can rattle past and jump. But
Kelly said that when her mom passed, the day after that, she found out her dad was terminal. But that is a whole lot for a family to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Nancy took care of her dad when he was ill and when he passed. They are with us always. They are. I took care of my mom. Yes.
Yeah, I've sadly lost both my parents. My mum quite early. Well, I was 30 at the time, so it was yeah. It felt like we didn't have much time together, obviously, but 30 years there.
Mhm.
But it was still. But I had a very close relationship to my mum, and through her illness, a very short illness, but nonetheless quite a horrible, hard illness. It was a very strange week or so um, of absolute tears and sadness, and the opposite,
Oh,
joy
yes.
and celebration, and
Yes.
very interesting. And again, it's one of those moments in your life that's a big event that makes you question a lot, and perhaps that's where I'm here today doing this partially because of that event. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that as we grow, I think that has everything to do with our spiritual path too, how we grow as a person. Thank you, MM,
Hi.
for subscribing. I appreciate that. And welcome.
Yeah.
But I think that has everything to do with how we are progressing on our path. And we all go at our own speed.
Yes.
So we can't, there's no way that we can compare ourselves to someone else, because we're going to the same place, but our journey is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think that all of the ways that we approach it are acceptable and important, and the way that each one of us as a person should be approaching our own journey and our own grief, our own spirituality, our own, just the way that we are as a person.
Yeah.
Each of us is valid.
Yes.
Good morning.
And I think it should also be talked about a lot more when people are going through grieving or the mourning process, because quite often it's that whole, for the first couple of weeks, everybody rallies round and the friends phone, and then that slowly, obviously, tails away and changes. But there's still that process that you're going through for a long period of time, and in England particularly, we don't talk about it all that much. It's kind of after a couple of weeks, everyone assumes you've back to normal and got over it, and obviously people haven't. So
I think that's similar to how it is here too. We're afforded a certain amount of time by society, and then we're expected to get on with. And I don't know how it is in Britain, but here everything's very sanitized. So you're kept away from the process as much as possible.
I think that's very, very, although I have to say, from what I gather in America, having open caskets, I don't know how common it is, but I've noticed in a lot of films and TV and stuff that there's often an open casket at the funeral, which is hardly ever done in the UK at all.
It's still done here. It was done more when I was a child. When I was a child, though, where my dad is from, in the foothills of southeastern Oklahoma, which is a very rural part of the country, and lots of forest and hills, and the people from that area were still doing home funerals when I was a child, and that's just almost completely gone away now. Although I think that there is a kind of I don't want to call it a revival, but there is a faction of people in the death industry trying to bring back that aspect to make it a natural part of life.
Yeah.
And so But Kelly said we are moving away from the open casket and funerals in Canada. We are here too. We are. It's not uncommon for there not to even be any sort of memorial for a person for some time. I mean, they may wait several months until everyone is able to gather and then have it then. And that would be without the deceased person. So everything is done, even having the deceased there for in any form, in a casket or cremated or however, might not even take place when the memorial actually takes place.
All right. That's interesting, isn't it? I'm it's very gruesome, not gruesome, but it's an important conversation to have. I'm very I just love learning about different customs and different countries and different cultures, how they deal with this process. And I think, you know, as you said, I mean, I think it's quite sterile. We have quite a sterile way of dealing with death. And the process of it, which doesn't help the mourning and the processing of the people that are left afterwards. And I just find that, you know, if there was more awakeness about the passing, the system of somebody passing over and the preparations for the funeral, there was a bit more sort of hands-on, I'm going to use that term, I think it would possibly help people. But also there's a lot of people who are just don't want to get involved, me included. That's me. I would not go.
And I think it should be left up to the individual family, the individual person, whatever you're comfortable with, and whatever you need to do for your healing. Because that's all that stuff is for the living.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And so what it is our way of dealing with it so that we can pick up and go on.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a wrong way or a right way. Kelly brought out that there is enormous amounts of money to be made in that industry. And there are unscrupulous people.
Yes.
In the industry. So, and it's not at a time when you can shop around. I mean, when your heart is so broken and you're so shattered, you kind of take the first thing you walk into. So it's good to have maybe a family relationship with or at least have recommendations beforehand before you need it.
Yeah, well, I did that. My father, I was always really shocked. My father didn't have a funeral plan. He was so organized. I was really, really shocked. And so we organized the funeral, and I mean, he didn't leave any what he wanted, or you know, that was it. So it was slightly not difficult, but it was like treading on eggshells, trying to get everybody's opinions and working out what was the right thing to do, if that makes sense, at a time, as you say, when it is you really quite raw. So after my father passed away and we had the funeral, within a few weeks I thought, I'm getting myself a funeral plan, and I did that, and I got a company, and I pay a little bit each month. I'm fortunate enough to be able to contribute a bit to it, and I put all my plans in because I don't want anybody, you know, to have to go through that on top of everything else that's happening. So it's hopefully all planned. I've just got to work out what music I want.
This is this is interesting because I didn't know we were going to go this way, but everyone's sharing. We know her mom was denied a burial because of circumstances for 9 years. And she's saying that once they were able to carry out her wishes, it went a long way toward healing.
Yes.
Janet says that her family got cremated and sent the family to the ocean with lots of liquor and scattered the ashes on the beach. And that's lovely. That's lovely. Sherry says that it's smart to set up your own funeral. It absolutely is smart. That way your family is not burdened with the decision. I have to tell you, though, that in this country, depending on what you choose, they will, the funeral homes will not honor the wishes or even the plan if they think that living family members will object to it. If they can't get all of the living family members to agree to what you have set up, they will do something else. I experienced that with a friend of mine.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not too sure what it's like in the UK, but I think it's quite, they probably would go, this is what they wanted, any objections, we're going to do it anyway. And hopefully it's all paid up so no one will object anyway.
Yes, and if as long as your family members don't object to it, then there's generally not a problem. But if you can't get the family members to all agree, then they won't do a cremation unless everybody agrees. Sherry said that she doesn't care what happens to her because she will be gone.
There is that as well, isn't there? I think we invest so much in this body in many ways, whether it's clothes, it's the idea of letting go of it, and it's like, okay, it's like, well, actually, it's nothing really to do with me after I've gone, and it's just making sure that those people around have the best, the care in place, so that you're not burdened, as you say. But I love that.
Nancy says both of her parents were cremated, and she has the same wishes with no viewing. And let's see, I had Karen's dad was cremated, and his ashes were sprinkled in places he loved, like the baseball parks.
How lovely.
And that is lovely. My dad was cremated, and my family buried him. We buried him in the small cemetery that his family rests. My uncle dug the hole, and we, as a family, after his service, went to the cemetery and buried him. And each of us took part in it. And that, I have to tell you, that act was so healing.
Yeah.
It was like filling up a hole in your heart. So every handful of dirt, because we did it first by handfuls of dirt that went in there, it was like it filled up part of my heart. So you never know what is going to be healing until you actually find it.
Yes. Yeah. I've got a bit of a funny story. Sorry, this is quite grim, but I've got a bit of
I don't know.
I like my mother and father had quite a big family, so there's lots of relatives, and we do meet up once a year at a certain place, part of the National Trust, and they've got a massive car park and a nice picnic area. So everyone drives in, spends their hours driving in, and we all sit there, and we've always had a lovely picnic and had some drinks and just caught up and talked to everybody before we all went home and kind of didn't. Well, unfortunately, one of my relatives, my nan's brother, died at the same time his wife died, and they were cremated, and so it was decided that they were going to scatter the ashes in this picnic area where we all went, and they not only that, they put the cat and the dog in ashes as well and mixed them all up together, and it was really nice, and that they kind of scattered around this kind of lovely grassy picnic area, and every year we go and they're there with us, and that's really nice.
That's whatever makes your family not happy but gives you comfort and helps with the healing. I think that that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's my own personal thought.
Yeah.
Jackie says her husband passed during the UK COVID lockdown, and so that we had the same thing here. We couldn't have funerals,
Yeah.
so she just has his cremated remains at home.
Oh,
And at some point, you should do the ceremony, whatever memorial you want to do, Jackie, do that.
yeah. When the time.
And yes, it will help heal. Thayer said funeral directors are like divorce lawyers. They create conflict. Many of them are. Many of them are, and you have to be careful.
Yeah. Do you have in the States? Do you have like a protocol or sort of laws around, or I don't know what's the word,
It's
not about
because we have so many states. Every state has its own laws.
Oh, I see.
And in Texas, I believe this is correct. In Texas, you can bury your family in your garden if you want to, as long as you get the permits for it. But there are certain kinds of like um, the new thing that's not cremation, but they do it with water.
Okay.
That's not legal here yet.
Right.
Or the composting. I have, since I've worked in the industry, I keep up with this stuff. So and so some people want to be composted now, which is actually kind of a lovely process. That's not legal in Texas right now. So it depends on what method it is, and there are different things for different states, have different laws. So
yeah, we're quite lucky, I suppose, here is that they're all monitored and they have a certain charter mark to it. So I think you can trust most of the undertakers, and they've also been around for a very long time. I mean, I live just down the road from 3 or 4 undertakers. They all seem to be in the same road, you know, and they've been around for 100 years or so. So they've got quite a trusted kind of reputation.
Yes, if you find someone that your family trusts, or it is like that's trusted. I hate to have to say this, but make sure it hasn't been bought out by a corporation. There are international corporations that buy small businesses and then price gouge. So,
well, ironically, one of the biggest businesses, or at least one of the businesses, was the co-op, which is a form of shops. And co-op funerals are very, very popular and very, very good, and been going for years. So, yeah.
So yes, because I grew up with a lot of older people, my family had a lot of experience in this, in dealing with this. And in fact, when my granddad, I have personally planned 6 funerals myself. And so my family on one side had dealt with the same company for decades and decades and decades. And this funeral director actually cried when my granddad passed. He cried at the funeral. During the funeral, he had tears running down his face. So that's how often we had used his services. I think it's good to get a relationship with that kind of in that industry, so that you know you're not being taken advantage of. Because you're just going to be crushed. So Nancy said she has her brother's ashes with her at her house, and he was mentally challenged and they were best friends. And if that's what gives you comfort, Nancy, then that's exactly where he belongs. Sherry keeps her mom roughly 25 feet away from her so that they have a little shrine in the living room on top of a bookshelf. I have a little place like that. I have my pets, my my human beloved dead. I don't keep at home. They have been laid to rest, but my pets are with me.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that we needed to talk about this, that somebody that needed this catharsis.
Wasn't expecting it, but it's really interesting conversation. And as you
Because
say, it's one that
yeah,
we do need to talk about. Yeah.
so I hope that this conversation is giving someone comfort or release in some way. I think, though, now I'm going to open up, since it seems to be everyone seems to have said what they needed to say. I'm going to open up if anybody would like to have a card today or have a reading, a mini reading.
Yeah.
Nancy says she has an angel
Oh,
by her brother. That's sweet.
that's lovely.
I'm sure he loves that. Jackie, it's nice to have an open conversation about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those conversations people don't ever really talk about. We weren't expecting to talk about it.
No, we weren't. We were expecting to talk about.
There's possibly reasons for it. Excuse me, I've got some cards on the floor. I'm going to have to go and get them now.
So, well, take your time. I think that it's a subject that it's a difficult subject, and you have to have people you trust to talk about.
And it also goes to show exactly that we're in a group of people here that we feel trusting to be able to talk about these
Yes,
things.
I really feel privileged that everyone in chat has been so forthcoming with their stories and able to share. Sherry's going to ask for a card.
Okay.
There we go.
How would you like to do this then, Debbie?
Any way that you want to. I don't have a set protocol. I don't, just whatever feels comfortable.
Oh, okay. I often pull more than one card. I hope that's okay.
I do too. I generally pull between 2 and 3, but sometimes as many as until I get the message right.
I'm loving Sherry's voices from the swamp part of the profile there.
She lives in
wonderful thoughts in my head.
She lives in Louisiana, so she is near to the swamp. And I do have Jenny's question from earlier too.
Okay.
After Sherry, Jenny, I'll bring your question up after Sherry. Sherry's getting ready to have her 1 year channelversary.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. I'm ready whenever you are.
Go ahead.
Well, I pulled you 3 cards and then I pulled an extra card there. So I tend to do things as the energy of the week and obstacles and ways of getting over it. So for the energies of the week, I'm rather unfortunate I pulled you the 10 of Swords. And I say that because it's not my favorite card out the deck there, Sherry. But so this is an energy of things kind of finally a totality and something actually happening, much like the Death card. But it's a little bit more on other people's terms, not quite on the terms that perhaps you were expecting there. Obstacles in the way, you've got the 4 of Wands. I think this might be something to do with communications around loved ones. I don't know if that's causing any problems at the moment. There could be any blockages, particularly on the home front there. Ways to get over it, though, I've got the King of Wands. So I would suggest that this is suggesting how to get through this perhaps blockage or this thing that's actually finishing this week is just to remember exactly how wonderful you are. The King of Wands is one of my favorite cards because it shows respect. Somebody that has been there, got the t-shirt, and is in people's minds the whole time. It's almost unforgettable to be the King of Wands and not to miss out on anything there. So I'm thinking that you've got the opportunity to have that wonderful fire energy that comes with the King, but the respect that goes with it as well. So channel a bit of fire energy, show people that, you know, you're wonderful and that they need to respect you. And then I finally pulled the High Priestess for you as a bit more clarification on this one. So I think it's to do with perhaps traditions that are going on there with this. That's what's ending this week. So whether it's traditions or something to do with education and learning. There we go.
So I just wanted to quickly say Lisa Foster is with us, and Wendy. I don't know when you came in. I missed you, but it's lovely to have you with us, Wendy. And if I missed anyone, say something, and I'll tell you hello. Sherry, I got Charlotte Perkins Gilman. She stands for freedom. And what frees you personally. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that having your channel is freeing you personally. It's your way of expressing yourself. Don't forget to look for what lurks beneath. I got the eel. And then finally, I got the peacekeeper, to let go of the need to be right. So sometimes when you are doing your channel, you may have to keep your opinions to yourself. And I'm with that part. but to sometimes what we believe is right isn't right for the next person. So it's good to consider all avenues of and aspects of spirituality, of how we deal with things in life. But I think the main thing is that freedom, and to remember to look and dig deeper.
Congratulations on your channelversary.
Yes. I never expected all the gifts from so many when I started my channel. And that is, it is, we get, or at least I do, I'll speak for myself. I get so much out of my channel just from the exchange that I get to do with people. I'm very opinionated and have to check myself often. So I was trying to get the gentler message. That's why I went with the oracles for you, Sherry. But they still jumped up and said what they meant to say.
Oh, I'm dropping these today. This deck, I don't know what it is. I'm going to reorder it, I think, at some point. It's not behaving itself like it used to. It's jumping about all over the place, but we'll carry on.
They do that sometimes.
I think it's the heat. It's really hot as well. I think my hands are a little bit.
Yes. And if you get too uncomfortable, Ritchie, let me know and we can end early because.
Oh, no. I love doing this.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right. And I wanted to say to Wendy, even though I didn't see you actually come in, I did star your questions. So that you'd like to have a card. So subconsciously, I knew you were here. So the next question is, Jenny has been seeing a lot of monarch butterflies lately. And monarchs are on the endangered list.
Right.
I don't know if it's a sign or just luck on my part. So we'll see. Let's see if we can see what that is. And I would My first instinct is to say that it's not just luck, that you're seeing them for a reason. That's my first instinct.
Yes.
Sherry said that it's being able to talk about things that are important and share with others that are willing to listen and join in the conversation, and it's invigorating. I'm so happy that you are getting that out of your channel. Gerald is here.
Hi, Gerald.
You missed a fascinating conversation.
He can go back and watch it.
Yes, he can.
Who are we doing a reading for? Sorry, is it for Jenny?
Oh, Jenny and her butterflies. Go ahead if you're ready.
I'm just pulling them, so I'm just having a little look.
Let's see what I get here. That is why there's playback.
Okay, do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
I'm wondering about these energies that you're getting with these butterflies, because I've got two very male cards here. I've got the Magician and I've got the Lord, which is the Emperor card here. So I'm wondering, when you're seeing these, if it's a message coming through from perhaps a father, grandfather, male figure who may be sending you a message with it there. So that's the kind of energies that I'm getting. I don't know whether that rings true or if there's any energies that come with both these cards that would mean that's a characteristic of the person, that it could be this message. But it's certainly a very male, heavy, father-like grandfather or a father-like figure in your life that may be sending that message. The message would be the Ace of Wands, which is a beautiful message for you, Jenny. Look at the sun shining through there, and you've got leaves fluttering around the breeze, much like a butterfly. This deck doesn't have butterflies in them, but that's probably the best that we can come up with from this deck here. And that's about having the energy to go out and put your dreams into reality. You're being handed almost like a scepter or a staff here. Again, it's power. It's go ahead and do what you are planning to do. Don't doubt yourself. You have the energy of the sun there to go out and be wonderful. And that's the message that could be coming through from these butterflies that's being sent down there.
That makes perfect sense with because I was trying to decide how one of my cards fits in. Now, I think, Jenny, I got Mend a Broken Heart Fairy, Healing from Heartache, and the Dried Flower Fairy, which is Sweet Memories. Oh. So I'm getting that message is from someone specific. And then I got the Carnivorous Flower Fairy, which is a tempting offer, has a high price. I'm thinking that you are up to the challenge, that it may feel like a high price, but you have someone on your side, that you have the support you need to carry out whatever that offer is, to take that offer.
That makes a lot of sense. I hope that does as well. I like doing readings like that. I don't often do ones where people sort of see something and
I don't either, and I never know if I can do a reading on something until I try it. So
absolutely,
there you go.
Jackie, it is one of the real druid crafts. Yes, you're right, Joe. My relationship with this deck has gone through a lot of changes over the years, but we finally got one. It took me four versions of it, a guillotine and a lot of red and gold paint to get there, but we got there in the end. So yeah.
Next, I have Wendy, who I didn't realize was here, but I started her question anyway. So there you go. Wendy. Jackie says it's very hot.
It's going to get hotter, Jackie. I hope you're aware of this. It is warm today. It's actually, I'm lucky I'm by the sea, so there's always a slight breeze, and it's just quite nice.
That is nice. Yeah. I am landlocked, so.
Are you? I'm going to go for a nice walk. It's a super moon tonight, I think, so I'm going to go for a nice walk along the seafront and sink my feet in the sea and look at the super moon. I think I might take some photos on that one then. Okay.
Let's see, Wendy.
Okay, I've got 3 cards for you, Wendy. So I've got the energies of the week, if you want to think about it like that, or when I say week, it can be for the next few days. Prince of Cups, a Knight of Cups here. So there's a lot of love. There's a lot of personal emotions. There's a lot of time to reach out and talk to friends, talk to loved ones. It's, there's a lovely energy that goes with it. I would suggest, making the most of this. Perhaps we talked about the super moon there. Go out, take some friends out, take a loved one out, go and look at the moon, spend some time kind of just being romantic, being lovely. And if not, of course, give yourself some self-love for it as well. The obstacle of the week, we've got the world. So there's a completion happening here. It feels like you're going to end a cycle that's happening at the moment. And that's great. And that's something that's not an obstacle. It's just we don't particularly like endings, a lot of us here, and we're very happy and going along with what we're doing with there. So having that obstacle of the world, something ending, just be prepared to make sure that, everything's coming into a completion. Just be ready for it. And how to kind of cope with this, or the best way to go forward with it. I pulled you the Page of Swords, but reversed here. So the best way is to kind of not listen too much to your what's going on in your head, the voices that are going on in your head perhaps about the situation, and kind of ignore it and just go with what it is. Kind of think, don't be blindsided into thinking that I don't understand what's going on. You do know what's going on, and have strength to just go and do it, and don't ask too many questions about it. Just go with what you feel is right.
My cards kind of go along with that. First, I got the Broken Arrow, embrace the energy of peace. Nice. And then Sky Father, to trust in the unknown. And finally, I had the Water Guardian, which is connect with your emotions. So I think that you are coming to a place, a peaceful place. Embrace it and trust that everything is happening exactly as it should, because of connecting with your emotions. Once we connect with those emotions and we look really at what's underneath, then that will lead us in the direction that we need to go. We deal with the negative and then make that positive, the love, the hope, all of what's good, bring that up and let it guide you. Acknowledge the rest, but let the love guide you. So I hope that helps, Wendy. I hope, does that resonate with you at all? Karen's saying she loves the color on your walls.
Actually, I mean, this is what cameras do. It doesn't look like that in real life at all. And actually, that wall there is actually a different color to this wall. It looks orange, and it's not. It's a kind of terracotta color. But thank you very much. Yeah, I quite like having lots of colors around me, as you can probably tell. So,
You're welcome, Wendy. I think it's a very summery kind of color, but it could lead into autumn easily.
yes, yeah, yeah. You know, sometimes you just don't notice the color on your walls at all. You get so used to them. But
Mine are gray.
are
I
they?
I don't know if you can tell, but mine are gray, and that's the color that came with this apartment. So that's what I have.
Well, when I bought this place, I walked in and everything was dark green, like a dragon green. And it was a January day. It was like walking. It's like, no, I can't have colours like this. So
Yes.
I redecorated them all years ago, and it was such a big job. I'm certainly not going to be changing it in the near future.
Well, and you needed something warmer.
Exactly. I like these colours, and it probably needs a lick and paint at some point, but I'll probably go back to the same colours. Okay, Nancy.
Nancy. Let's
I'm
see.
changing up the decks. We're going for mermaids now because it's very hot. So we're going to go for some watery meanings.
Karen's saying color changes the energy.
Yeah.
So, yes, it does. It changes the energy.
Okay.
Well, these cards don't want to do this reading, so I'll switch decks.
Shall I start? I'm ready to go.
Go right ahead. Go right
I've
ahead.
changed up the decks, so I've just slightly changed up the way that I'm reading them for you here, Nancy. So I've kind of got just one card to kind of what's happening. You've got the death card. So I wanted a little bit of clarity on this one here. And so I pulled a clarifier, and I've got the Starfy. It's two major arcana cards there, which is great for what's happening perhaps in your life at the moment. There seems to be a change that's happening, something that's actually come to the end of its cycle, and it's time to let it go, as the death card actually means. Of course, we're not talking necessarily about actual people, it's the cycle that could be happening here. But I'm loving the fact that as this goes, something goes, hope is sort of almost rising as you shake away what's left of what this cycle is that's finishing here. I'm having trouble with my words today. So I'm loving the fact that there's a lot of hope in there. When I looked here, I pulled another card, and you've got the Four of Pentacles. Can you see how this person looks quite isolated? They're having a lovely time, but they've got their pentacle jewelry on, and they're sitting by a wonderful waterfall there. Now, normally this is quite a covetous card, the Four of Pentacles, but here I just feel a little bit perhaps sitting on your own, taking time for yourself there. Surround yourself with your treasures, with the precious things around you, and just take a bit of time for yourself to just kind of ponder situations and think on the possibilities that come with the hope card in the star there.
Okay. So I got, this is interesting. I used my literary witch deck. I got Shirley Jackson to start with. She represents family, domestic pleasures, and partnership, especially with children. And then next I got Virginia Woolf, who represents vision, like innovation or developing a vision. So I think it's possible that around the home, you have something new developing. And in order to bring it out, I got the pond, and that is looking inward for inspiration. So I think that you have something in your mind that you're thinking about, and you can, it's something around the home. So it's either something you can do with the home or do from home or involve the children in. But it's something new that you hadn't thought of before, but you're developing it and considering. I would say if you're, whatever you're thinking of, do it. I think that you got extra confirmation that your vision and inspiration is the way you need to go.
That ties in with the star card as well.
Mm-hmm. I find that very often when I'm reading with someone, our readings go together.
Yeah, me too.
You're welcome, Nancy. And I good luck on whatever you're thinking of, whatever you're going to bring forth, and let us know. Thayer Hutchinson. Thayer would like a card.
Of course.
And she is, she does color readings, so she's very familiar with color. And she's quite a gifted medium as well.
Wonderful.
Okay, my cards have just decided they're going to do something on their own, so I'm just going to go with it. I'll go with it and sort it out later because they're determined to do this.
Okay, shall I make a start?
Go ahead.
Right, so the energy of the week that you've got coming up, Faye, and I say week, I'm talking about the next few days, you've got the 9 of Wands here. I'm just wondering what it is that is going on at the moment that is making you so busy. There's a real sense I'm getting with you of not only an urgency, but there's an awful lot that's happening, and it feels like it's all coming down on your shoulders, as the 9 of Wands tends to feel like being sort of slightly a lot going on. This person here is kind of gathering up lights or orbs from a volcano here, and I kind of think it's not dangerous what you're doing in the same sense of this, but it's a bit like there's an edge to this. I think this week of just some of an energy, and I'm not quite sure what that is, so perhaps we'll come back to that in a moment. Obstacles in the way, or obstacles to think about this week. You've got the 6 of Cups. I'm just wondering if it's to do with something in the past, or traditionally family, or particularly children, or something coming back from your past that's tying into that one there. Because way of dealing with it, you've got the Ace of Swords, so you need to start thinking about cutting away into getting clarity on the matter. The power is being handed with you, possibly by whatever the energy is of this that we talked about, being on a knife edge. Literally, you're being given the power and the clarity to clear away things perhaps that have happened in the past and just put things to bed. I hope that makes sense. It's interesting, I think.
I think it makes sense. I know a little bit about Thayer's situation, okay. So and it goes along with my cards. I got the Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay, Thayer, you know my cards don't read because of the way that they're because they the cards I normally use have a specific poster on the back. I don't read them in reverse, so that's why I said my cards are doing their own thing today, because I don't read these cards in reverse because of the way that they're printed. So I got this Queen of Swords in reverse, and you know she's got that sort of truth, but it's inverted. It's not. and this is the past. This is something that's been going on. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Then I got the Knight of Pentacles. Going along slow. It's right there. It's ready for you to get it, but it's slow and methodical, and it will come. But you got to stop dealing with that person this is the Lovers in reverse. You've got to stop dealing with that energy. If this person is the person I think it is, and they are still badgering you, you need to cut it off, because it's not the right thing. The right thing is coming. It's coming for you.
And look, you're being handed the sword to cut things off.
Mm-hmm. So they are, good luck. I think that it's going to work out. Let me see what's on the bottom of the deck. It's going to work out. Look.
And I've got the sun on the bottom of my deck.
So see, just let it happen and let it go, because it's not the thing that's going to prevail. So chin up, girl. You can do it.
Sending you lots of positivity.
Yes. So it may seem bleak now, but it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrea. Andrea's here. Andrea Galvin.
Hi, Andrea.
All right. Does anyone else would like a card or have a question or a comment on our earlier conversation? Anything you'd like to share at all? I forgot to ask you at the beginning, Ritchie, what do you have coming up?
Well, tomorrow I am with Regina and lovely Gerald. We're doing one of our tarot games again. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those where we give each other quite weird words and we have to kind of match them up to a tarot card and explain why, and then we get a point for whoever gets the best one there. So we've got round 3 of that coming on, and I like that because it's just a bit of fun, and it's really good to kind of use a tarot deck to kind of just inspire you in many ways, just to think of, an unusual word. And we do come up with some really difficult and unusual words that you just go, I don't know if that's even in the deck.
I enjoy that game.
And it's always a good laugh, and I always come back learning a lot from it. So there's that. And then the following week, and this is one I'm really excited about, it's the 410th anniversary, the very day of the Pendle Witch trials in Lancashire in England, which was about just over 80 years before the Salem witch trials. And I'm doing a live with Gerald and a few other guests where we're we're talking about it.
That's going to be so interesting. That is.
And we're also hopefully going to be having a little bit of a kind of commemoration of it, and a bit of a kind of, not memorial, but holding space as well for the victims of it. And I'm quite excited for that one, because it's a very interesting case, and it's very, very confusing, and it adds a lot into things about the Salem witch trials, and even today, actually, when people are being tried in court for various things. So it's interesting.
Whoops. Hang on. Okay. And that sounds so interesting. Thayer asked, where does this king man live?
Young man, I think she meant.
Are you asking,
man, though?
are you asking where is Ritchie located?
I live in obviously the UK, in East Sussex, the county of East. So basically, take the country, London. If you draw a line straight south down to London till you hit the coastline, I'm there next. So I live in Eastbourne, which is between two quite well-known towns or cities, I should say, and on Brighton on one side. I'm sure most people have heard of Brighton, I would like to think, and Hastings and as well. And I'm slap bang between the two. I'm in a beautiful part of the world on the coast, beautiful rolling hills. I love it.
I've seen some of your walkabout videos, and you do live in a very lovely place.
I'm very lucky.
It seems very peaceful.
Yes, it is. Actually, it's a town, but it's not too hectically charged with people. And you can easily get out into the countryside. We've got woods, we've got lovely sweeping hills. As I said, we've got the seafront as well. There's a holy well, a spring that they've re-excavated down the seafront, which is lovely, and it's very peaceful and tranquil place.
It does seem so very peaceful there, and I always enjoy whenever you do
Thank
your
you.
little.
I'll have to do another one. I might do one tonight, actually, if it's a super. I'm going to go down.
Good, I'll watch.
I'll make a video for you.
So Gerald would like a card.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have to go back to the Druid craft, as he made such a comment about him. He's not getting away that lightly. Sir Ritchie, he's called.
Sir Ritchie, yes. I did see that.
Well, there's a lot of nice, and I'm going to call it ancient energy around here as well. One of the natural spots just outside my town is a really high cliff called Beachy Head, which is really famous in the UK and is often used in films and stuff. It's got a famous red and white striped lighthouse. Have you ever seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? I don't know if you've.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember when Chitty starts to fly and they fly off out and it goes?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it was, just there. So it's got a lot of weird energy up there, because sadly people decide that it's a place to go when they have no other option to go to, and so it's interesting, but there's some very very potent energies up there, let's just say that.
Ritchie, have you been to Stonehenge?
Yes.
How is the energy there?
Well, I was really lucky because I turned 50 last year, and my husband Peter, we couldn't get away because of lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah.
So he organised a trip to Glastonbury, and on the way back, he paid to go into Stonehenge and actually into the circle, which you can't do anymore because
right.
But they took special guests in after hours there. And I went in, and I have to say, when I go to Stonehenge, just walking around, it's lovely. It's a lot of people there, so therefore the energy, it feels a bit tired. It's not quite, but when you go inside, wow, it's got ancient energy, and it's a bit like, firstly, the stones suddenly seem 3 times bigger than they actually are, and it's rather like when you walk into a special place, and that can be like a cathedral or a church, and your mind just goes to that place. It's that energy.
Exactly.
So yeah,
that ancient energy. Have you been to Avesbury?
I have been to Avesbury, yes, and I'm going there very soon as well. And I love Avesbury. Yeah,
it's You're going to have to, do a travel blog, and
I will try. Well, you're going to have to keep your eyes posted on for some updates, because there's some exciting things happening soon.
That's going to be lovely.
All happening next week, so keep your eyes out for like and subscribe, everyone. You don't want to miss this one.
yes, like and subscribe. I know Viviani put it in earlier, and Janet P and Jackie put your link in. Be sure and subscribe, subscribe, share, all of that.
And Gerald's put his Eastbourne Tarot boyfriend. That's our nicknames for one another. He's my Ohio Tarot boyfriend.
Yes.
Oh,
Long
right.
distance, long distance.
Yeah, long distance. Right, let's see what we've got the cards for you. Okay. I'm making those noises again, Gerald, that you always tell me off for. Tarot reader noises when you turn the card and go. Right, energies of the week. You've got the Ace of Swords. We already had the Ace of Swords. So we've got communications, Gerald, happening here. Clarity, getting through that. So it feels like you are back in charge this week. Not that you're never not in charge, but you seem to be got a refresh kind of energy. Getting things done, getting things organized, and communication channels opening for you. Obstacles in the way. You've got the Fool. So just look where you're going a little bit and just don't blunder into stuff blindly. That's what this is about, I suppose. Just take time to just check up on what's happening. You're not a naive person, but don't be fooled into things that aren't perhaps true there, and just take your time, watch your footings, whatever you set out to do. How to cope with it. You've got the Two of Swords, which ties in nicely with this one there. So here, it's okay to be static for a little while before you make big choices or decide which pathway you want to go. Just take a moment or take as much time as you want to consider the options, okay? And use your intuition to as well, not just be looking at the facts. Remember, this lady is blindfolded. She can't see what the facts are, so therefore she's using her mind and her intuition to come up with that one there. So don't rush into things just because of haste.
Oh, I got that you're looking for something to come in. You believe you have the high ground, but you might be in your head a little bit. These swords are all illusions. They aren't there. So whatever obstacles you think are there, they will be removed, because I think this is the important card, is that you have the high ground. There may have been a struggle that you're looking for whatever you think is coming in today. And you got this. You got it. Don't worry about whatever those swords are. They're illusions, and they can be removed easily. So even as Ritchie said, maybe you can't even see them, but if you look them in the face, take your blindfold off, look at them, then they can be easily overcome. Well, Deanne is here. Hi, Deanne.
Hi, Deanne.
It's nice to have you in chat. So, Ritchie, anything exciting after you come back from vacation, or just?
Well, I'm having 2 mini vacations. Well, I'm not going abroad. I'm around here next, doing things next week, and then the following week I'm off to York, which is right up north. Beautiful cathedral city, very very old, and we're driving up there and just spending some time seeing that part of the world, calling in on a few friends, and then just taking a bit of a leisurely break back. So that's what it is. And then you see, I'm lucky to have 6 weeks off. It's almost then the end of the holiday. I've got about another week before I go back, and then back into it. And I know as soon as I go back to work, autumn suddenly kicks in, and we're into that season. So I'm just very much looking forward to just taking some time in the next couple of weeks to just recenter, spiritually, just sort of sort things out. And I'm really enjoying doing lots of crafts at the moment. All the things that I've spent all year going, oh, I really must do that, and I'd really like to do that, and that's something I wonder. I've managed to do them in the last couple of weeks. In fact, I'm still working on them.
Lovely.
I'm loving it, and it's really mindful and it's creative. They might not be the most beautiful things in the world, but I'm absolutely loving learning new skills and just doing things that make me happy while I've got the time.
Well, that sounds lovely. And it also sounds like you have the next several months sort of in line.
Yes, I feel for once this year, I kind of feel like I'm back on track, and not just back on track, but more polished and oiled and faster going. It's that kind of, if I'm going to be a train analogy, I just feel like, okay, yes, we've had a few little hurdles this year, so we're back on track, and we're going for what we want rather than what, what I think people want of me, that kind of thing. That makes sense.
Everything we overcome makes us stronger.
It does, certainly does.
So well, it's been lovely having you with me today. I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed everyone in chat. Our discussion went a little left today, but that's all right.
Needed to be talked about, didn't it?
It helped someone. So
it did, yeah.
Or it will help someone on a replay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
We love you, everybody in chat. Until next time, beautiful beings.